Hi, and welcome to Education Vision. My name is Hamza, and today we are going to be talking about Retell lecture and the changes which have taken place in Retell lecture scoring. Retell lecture basically is the fourth component of your speaking section. And in this component, we basically are listening to a lecture and we have to reiterate this lecture to the computer back. Now, the new scoring which has happened is that there would be human intervention to check the content that you're speaking. So our content needs to be again in the limelight, in focus, how we are going to be fixing our pronunciation and content at the same time, because pronunciation also is very crucial now for this specific task. So first, let's just get into the details of what are the requirements of Retell lecture, and then we will further look at how we are supposed to do it. So in Retell lecture, we would get 1 or 2 lectures. Scoring remains to be the same: 20 marks for listening, 25 for speaking. We have 4 timings: 3 seconds before the question is played, and then in the audio time, 30 to 90 seconds. And in the second preparation time, we have 10 seconds. And then finally, in 40 seconds, we have to speak back to the computer. Most important things are fluency and pronunciation. You have to be fluent, you have to speak fast, keeping your clarity at the same time, so that you qualify as a native speaker. You have to remember that. Note taking is mandatory. I would be showing you how we take notes. And we need to take notes as phrases or sentences now over here, because our speech needs to now make sense. If I would simply take keywords over here and speak them back to the computer, I will get a score. I will not fail the exam, but I will not get a very high score. Remember, the aim is always prepare for the highest score so that you can get your desired score very easily. So 15 to 16 phrases or 15 to 16 phrases along with 2 sentences we take. So what are phrases? The update first, it was only 2 to 3 words we used to recommend, but now the phrase length could be 2 to 5 words from the audio. And these 2 to 5 words must contain a noun or a date, and most importantly, they must make sense. For example, if you look at the examples which I have over here, going away home tomorrow, it makes sense. If I would simply say going away, it doesn't make sense. I can keep arguing that, hey, I heard the video and it said 2 words only, but going away, no sense. Away home, no sense. Home tomorrow, on its own, it doesn't make sense. Going away home tomorrow, that makes sense. There are apples there, it makes sense. Versus if I say apples there, are apples, there are apples would still be acceptable, but are apples there will not make sense. In the house card, year of 2023, fast laptop there. These are the phrases which the computer is expecting from you, and this is where you should start working on it, because this will consume some time for you to become perfect, because the audio lengths are 30 to 90 seconds. You could get a very short audio, you could get a very long audio as well. There is no hard and fast rule or a fixed parameter that you will always get long audios. And my sincerest advice to you all is, when you prepare listening in general, be it repeat sentence, be it retell lecture, or anything from the listening section, when you go to Education Vision's website, the practice portal over there, make sure that you are putting the speed at 1.2x or 1.5x. You will not get such fast speed audios in the exam, but the thing is that with practicing with fast audios, your speed, your understanding, it would be so good that in the exam, whatever you face, you will be able to overcome it. This is a very handy tip for you to remember for preparation. Let's have a quick look at the template that we have for Retell lecture. and we will then proceed with the application of it. So Retell lectures template, we have to understand that the first sentence, which says the lecture is focusing on one phrase sentence, this phrase is going to be the title of your lecture, the topic of your lecture, what the lecture is about. This again would be represented as a phrase, not a keyword. For example, if the audio is about water, I would probably write over there, the lecture is focusing on importance of water, the lecture is focusing on wastage of water. Don't simply write water over there. One word, as I was earlier saying, keyword will not give you a higher score. Please keep that in mind. The template remains to be the same, which we had earlier even shared. Additionally, 5 phrases or a sentence were mentioned. Similarly, 5 phrases or a sentence. So this is basically my recommendation. More phrases and at least 1 to 2 sentences you should take. With sentences, what will happen is your score would be very high. Phrases and sentences combination. Now, if we would look at how we are supposed to take notes, always make a crossover there. Okay. So, in the first box would be my sentence 1. In the second box, it would be sentence 2. Third box, sentence 3. And fourth box, sentence 4. So I am speaking 4 sentences. In the first sentence, the topic. I'll write this also here so you don't forget. Here I have to write the topic, and then I will write here 555, and depending on the audio, I will basically see if I'm comfortable to take a sentence or should I focus on phrases. Remember, before I just play the audio, that nothing is challenging in PTE, nothing is a challenge for Retell lecture only. But remember, in Retell lecture, the handwriting you have should be written very clearly because you are looking at your notes and speaking. If you have written perfect information but cannot read what you have written, your pronunciation fluency automatically get compromised. Leave a gap in between your notes. Make sure that your handwriting is very clear over there. So when you have basically worked on your handwriting, your note taking, and when you are making the cross and you are writing your phrases or sentences over there, try to write big so that when you have written big, the benefit over there that will happen is that you will be fluent, your pronunciation would not get compromised as well. So I'll play an audio now and let's take the notes for it.
Well, in answer to your question, several women actively participated in the Civil War. The one that comes immediately to mind is Mary Walker. She's important because she's the only woman ever to be awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor. As you know, this medal is given to people who've served the United States with exceptional bravery. In addition, she was the only female physician in either of the 2 armies that fought in that war. Even though she had 2 medical degrees, many officers made her life difficult because they didn't believe that a woman should be a doctor. However, she refused to back down and leave the Army. In fact, she risked her life several times during the war and was even captured at one point, but she was soon released. After the war, she was arrested several times for wearing pants. And although Congress eventually tried to take her medal away, she refused to give it back and continued to wear it wherever she went. She died in 1919, a year before women received the right to vote, which brings me to my next point.
Right, so what I've tried to do over here is try to take long sentences, phrases, a combination of them. So when I start with my speaking over here of Retell lecture, I would say the lecture is focusing on in the Civil War. Additionally, Mary Walker, she got the Congressional Medal of Honor. Only female physician were mentioned. Similarly, a woman should not be a doctor. She risked her life in the war. She was arrested for wearing pants, was also mentioned. In conclusion, she died in 1919, which brings me to my next point, was also mentioned. Now, if you observe over here, my notes that I have taken, there are more sentences that I have taken, because since the change of scoring, I feel, and I have tested this even on Pearson official mock tests, if you are taking sentences or long phrases, your content score for listening would always shoot very high. You should keep this in mind and practice in this similar way. The notes that I have taken, try that there is a gap between your written notes. You have written clearly. And when you speak, make sure that you have memorized the template. So when you speak, you are not like the lecture was focusing on additional this these sounds, confusion, all bring your score low. So the changes which have happened, it's not a big deal, it's not a challenge. We just have to practice in a slightly different manner. You got this, guys, and hopefully you all will get your score. That's all. Thank you so much.